him up and just ross him.
Zara.
Got put in a spliff.
Get your ass down here! What? Don't what me when I call you. You say yes, ma'am! You're such a bitch. What did you say? I have an itch.
One Piece is officially out, and I'm here to review and analyze this latest chapter. This is Manny from the Four Eyes Academia, and welcome. On the cover page of chapter 10,012, we see Kid creating a metallic bird while real birds are nesting in his hair. Kid was ranked fairly highly in the latest One Piece character poll, ranking at 23. Myself and other One Piece fans are hoping to see a bit more of Kid during the rest of Wano throughout the story, while since somebody he has been pitted against Luffy and shown as Luffy's rival in the New World, but we haven't seen much of him during this arc. I will talk about this more towards the end of the chapter. At the beginning of the chapter, we get some back and forth between the two siblings, Kiku and Izu. Izu asking Kiku if he's okay, with Kiku replying that this itch isn't as painful as when you left and never came back. Obviously talking about when Izu left chasing after Oden and eventually joining the Whitebeard's pirates and never coming back to Wano. Now, I think this scene is to get the readers a bit more invested, a bit more emotionally invested in the relationship between Izu and Kiku, which later on down the line will be paid off with the death of one of the brothers, or potentially both of the brothers. We then get Nekomamushi being informed that Pedro is dead. This being the first time that he's heard of Pedro's death because he arrived to Wano later than everybody else. Nekomamushi then springs into action looking for the person responsible for Pedro's death. But since Pedro is dead, then I guess he's looking for Sparrow. I can't lie, the whole idea of Sparrow still being held responsible for Pedro's death is very ridiculous to me. What was Sparrow supposed to do? People came into his island, attacked his family, and all he really did was protect himself and his family. Just highlights that there's not, like in that situation, the whole Kick Island situation, there wasn't really any good guys. We're gonna end up getting a one-on-one between Nekomamushi and Sparrow. Towards the end of the chapter review, I'll be talking about the different matchups that could potentially happen. We then get the Scabbard splitting up. We have Kiku and Kinemon going off together in search of Kanjuro and Momonosake. I'm not too excited in the prospect of seeing an injured Kanjuro versus a one-armed Kiku. I still believe that it should be Kinemon to take down Kanjuro. Obviously in the chapter, Kiku makes it known to Kinemon that he wants to be the one that takes down Kanjuro and apologizes for not taking him down earlier. Now, one Scabbard that we didn't see in this chapter was Denjuro, and I'm not too sure why. My only assumption is that the next time we see him will be with Hiyori. When Toki said the Scabbard's into the future and some stay behind, Tenjuro was the one that was looking after Hiyori for a period after the Kappa did at some point. Or that we use Tenjuro to bring Hiyori to the story. He already used the Kappa to mention that somebody that healed them was familiar. And now I think he's going to use Tenjuro to show us that Hiyori is there. And obviously Kappa and Denjuro are the two Scabbards that are most familiar with Hiyori because they spend the most time with her after Toki sent them into the future. I think at this point we can just about confirm that Momo is using the voice of all things, as he was able to tell there was only two voices left on the roof. With those two voices being Kaido and Luffy, Momo also mentions that Luffy is weaker than he previously was, prompting Yamato to hurry to the roof. I do believe that Luffy will need to help us Yamato somehow, as I struggle to believe that Luffy will be able to beat Kaido one-on-one as it stands. Yamato making it to the roof shows a great opportunity for us getting a better understanding of his relationship with his dad. I believe that we'll get a flashback once he does make it to the roof, or maybe on his way there. If the flashback is on the way to the roof, then the flashback will obviously focus on Yamato and Kaido's relationship. But if Yamato gets to the roof, I think that's an opportunity for Oda to show us a flashback of Kaido. Yamato leaves Momo with Oden's journal while Shinobu peeps at him. Whether her peeping or not is significant, it will be interesting to see what Momo reading this book will result to. Momo has spent his whole life being told that his dad was a wonderful, capable and strong leader from others. How will reading this book with the words of his own father affect him and the kind of person he wants to become? As we all know, Odin didn't always want to become a leader. He was pushed and forced into that position, and eventually, when he realized his responsibility, he ended up taking it more seriously. However, there was definitely a time in his life where he just wanted to be free of the country. And now Momo has been put in this position where he's being told that he's going to become the next shogun of Wano. But that's not what his dad wanted to do when his dad was younger. So I wonder if reading this book will lead Momo into making his own decision about what he wants to be. And could that potential decision be him leaving Wano for whatever reason? And potentially Hiyori becoming the next shogun. So that was a very, very random thought with no basis behind it. But I do believe that journal will contain things that will eventually cement Momo's decision on what he wants to do in the future. One thing that I found in the scene that was very confusing was when Shinobu announced that Kinemon has made contact with him. And my thing is that I don't understand how that happened, when it happened. Since when could Kinemon just make contact with Shinobu out of the blue? But yeah, if you know the answer to that, please leave a comment down below. The return of Sanji.
Zoro got put in a spliff.
We have not seen Sanji since he escaped Black Maria and was stuck between going to save Momo or helping the Scabbards. Now we find them here on the second floor. So Law, Zoro and Zeus land just above Sanji, or teleport themselves just above Sanji. And Sanji captures them as they're about to fall, while captures Law and Zoro. It was an hilarious interaction where Sanji says, "Why couldn't it be girls?" Law leaves Zoro with Sanji as he makes his way to find Big Mom. As Sanji's not a doctor, he doesn't do a great job in properly bandaging Zoro. Now Zoro looks like he's just been put in a spliff, literally.
Zoro got put in a spliff.
What was so good about the interaction between Zoro and Sanji from there were two things. First, being Zoro informing Sanji that Luffy's taking Kaido one-on-one and that he's going to win, and Sanji is simply replying with, "I already knew he would." This is a great scene because it shows the complete trust that the left and the right hand of Shohei Luffy have for him. Him beating Kaido is no longer a question of if, it's just a question of when. The other great thing about the scene is Zoro falling asleep in the middle of a war while Sanji carries him. This just further highlights the amount of trust that Zoro has in Sanji, and that he's able to relax because he knows that Sanji will protect him. Sanji, while holding Zoro, bumps into Kappa and Ezu. And while Zoro is barely awake, he tells them to go to the ground floor. Obviously, in the ground floor is where Zoro initially was, right before Marco sent him to the roof. I can just picture them making it to the ground floor and Marco seeing Zoro there, punched up. It's like, "What are you doing here? I just sent you up there," or something along those lines. Them not going to the ground floor opens more opportunities for one-on-one fights and matchups, and again, I'll get into that at the end of the review. But something that I believe might happen while he's on the ground floor is that I still believe that Zoro needs to, I guess, do a bit more damage to one of the emperors, or even one of the calamities, potentially King at some point. And as far as we know, Zoro's completely out of commission. What I think might happen is that now that we have two doctors on the ground floor, or two notable doctors on the ground floor, in Chopper and in Marco, and we also have the Ice Demon virus that gave Hyogoro the boost in a few chapters ago. I now think that either Chopper, most likely Chopper, or Marco will be able to somehow stabilize the Ice Demon fighter to be able to fight again for a limited time, pretty much like a limited centipede. And the end of this chapter starts at the end of chapter 10-11, where we see Big Mom attack page 1. Here we see the best of Nami. We get to see Nami playing the helpless civilian as we often seen her do in the past, telling Big Mom that Oti was the one who attacked the village. And this was a really, really funny scene, because I didn't really expect Big Mom to react like this, even though it makes the most sense. And Big Mom pretty much replies to Nami, telling her to shut up, that Nami and Usopp are going to be next after she deals with Oti. And then she switches sides, Nami switches sides, and tells Oti that them two will get Big Mom together. It's just classic Nami. Every time she's in a corner, she tries to find the most sneaky, conniving, and manipulative way to get out of a situation. And this was just comedy gold on Oda's part. Kamachio is ordered to run away. Oti notices that and attacks Kamachio, injuring him terribly. This resulting in Tama becoming really, really upset and crying about it, which eventually leads to Oti telling Tama to shut up and slapping her. Now, this is when my favourite scene of the whole chapter presents itself. You get Big Mom looming over Oti, asking her, "Did I just see you hit my friend, little girl?" Oti replies with, "So what? You just smashed my little bro." And before she can finish a sentence, we get my guy Nami attacking Oti and hitting her one time. It was a brilliant chapter and it's a brilliant scene. The chapter ended with Nami saying, "I'm going to stay here and crush her." And this was in reply to Usopp telling Nami to get out of here. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who has any understanding of Nami. She was adopted, not really knowing her family and being a helpless kid. And now we've seen scenes of Nami going out of her way to help our helpless kid. We see, like, from when you introduce to Nami, we see Nami is a very selfish individual that only cares about money. And the only other time that you see her this worked up or this really emotional is when other kids are involved, specifically talking about those chapters in Black Hazard. So I've talked about this in the past before. People get individual chapters in Wano. So in chapter 1000 we had Straw Hat Luffy. Chapter 1005 we had Demon Child. Chapter 1007 we had Tanuki-san. Obviously those chapters were for Luffy, Robin and Chopper. Now if you think back to Sabaody and the chapter where all of them get sent away by Kuma, if you're working it backwards from the last person that got sent away to the first person that got sent away, Luffy was last, then it was Robin, then it was Chopper, going in the same direction as the self-titled chapters are going. And obviously the next person, or the fourth to last person that got sent away, was Nami. So I spoke about this a few weeks ago, but I just want to repeat it because I feel like it's going to happen in the next two chapters. That we are going to get a chapter titled Cat Burglar or anything else related to Nami, and it's going to be the chapter where Nami steals Zeus. We obviously had a few chapters ago where Nami said that she needed more lightning because the attack that she used on Oti previously didn't do that much damage, and I don't feel like this attack that she did in this chapter has done that much damage. I feel like Oti can get right back up and fight Nami straight away. So I do believe that Nami will get more lightning in the form of Zeus. Obviously, as we know in this chapter and last chapter, we know that Kid and Zeus are nearby. So Zeus is not too far away from Nami and eventually she'll capture him. As mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk more about matchups and I wanted to talk more about Kid. As mentioned before, Kid has been, I guess, looked at as Luffy's rival, but yet his feat hasn't come close to what Luffy has done. For Kid to carry on being looked at as Luffy's rival, he needs to accomplish things close to what Luffy's doing. As the story is right now, we have Kid coming close to Big Mom. He's in the same area. We also have Law making his way to Big Mom. Now I believe that we're gonna get a Kid and Law fight versus Big Mom. Then they're gonna combine again to attack Big Mom. While this is happening, Nami, Usopp, Tama will eventually escape to wherever they're going. So yeah, so we're gonna get that matchup of Kid and Law versus Big Mom is what I predict. We also now have Sanji, Zoro, Kappa and Izzo going to the ground floor where Marco, Drake, Chopper, and there's also Apu, King, Queen on the ground floor too. So now what I believe might happen is that Sanji will eventually fight Queen, and then we're gonna get I guess more of a background about Queen, Judge, and potentially Vegapunk. If you are then able to finally get Zoro back on his feet, I believe Zoro will be the one to eventually fight King. If Zoro doesn't end up going back on the roof, or Zoro ends up being involved in the Kaido Luffy fight again, which at this point I think is less likely for it to happen. But I do believe, or I do see Zoro fighting King. I do believe those will be the main fights that will take place. King versus Zoro, Queen versus Sanji, Law and Kid versus Big Mom. And I think that's it for the chapter review. If there's anything that you feel like I missed out, and if you want to add to it, please feel free to leave a comment or join our Discord where we are constantly talking about anime, manga and TV shows. But it's also a channel for One Piece where we discuss the One Piece weekly chapters on there. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and just get involved in the conversation. At us on Twitter. We do like to have a good talk about One Piece or anything else that's anime or manga related. But yeah, speak to you guys soon. Bye.